Things are heating up in the Korean peninsula. North Korea has test-launched a new intercontinental ballistic missile. South Korea has responded by conducting its largest ever military drill. China is threatening to take military action against Taiwan, and the US is reinforcing its commitment to defend Japan. It's a lot. So let's sort through what's happening and why it matters for all of us. We're going to start with some historical context. The end of the Cold War in 1991 created a unipolar world. The United States stood alone as the world's sole superpower. But that's no longer the case. Today we have a multipolar world with multiple centers of power. We have a new Cold War, and it's being fought between two equally matched superpowers, the United States and China. This new Cold War isn't ideological. It's geopolitical. China isn't communist, and it's not trying to export its system like the old Soviet Union. What China wants is security. It wants to protect its interests at home and abroad. The problem is there's no accepted international order without the United States, so China is taking matters into its own hands. That's why it's become increasingly aggressive towards Taiwan. Beijing sees Taiwan as a breakaway province that will eventually be reunited with the mainland by force, if necessary. And that's why China has become increasingly confrontational towards Japan. There are a lot of historical grievances that go back to World War II, but more recently, China has been pressuring Japan over a group of uninhabited islands in the East China Sea. Now, America's taken the bait. Washington has sent warships and fighter jets to the region to reassure its allies. And that thousands of South Korean and American troops are now gathered near the border with North Korea. Let me stop for a moment and say this. None of this is about stopping North Korea's nuclear program. You can't. It's too late! I know the headlines make it sound like we can still stop Kim Jong-un, but we can't. North Korea has nuclear weapons now. And that means the only rational response is deterrence. If China were to invade Taiwan or make a move on Japan, the US would respond with nuclear weapons. That's the only way deterrence works. It's all about preventing war, not stopping a dictator's nuclear program. So what happens now? Well, the US has made a terrible mistake. Washington has given verbal commitments to defend Taiwan, even though it would be a nuclear disaster to do so. This is the problem with the US. It talks a good game, but it doesn't have the stomach for a fight. China knows this. And that's why it's testing America's resolve. At some point, China will make a move on Taiwan. And when it does, America will have to decide whether it's prepared to follow through on its promise to defend Taiwan. And that's a tough call, because defending Taiwan would mean fighting China. Not just diplomatically, economically, or even militarily, but with nuclear weapons. It would be a global catastrophe. So here's my prediction. America won't defend Taiwan. It'll pay lip service to the idea of defending democracy, but in reality, it'll punt. It'll kick the can down the road. And that means the real Cold War has begun. It's a war without rules, without boundaries, and without a finish line. It's a war where every nation has to pick a side, and every resource is being used to fight it. This is the new reality. And it's going to be a wild ride. If you want to better understand global politics, stay tuned for more.